Good Wednesday morning to you. Our next character in the narrative of Second Kings is Jehoram. This is another son of Ahab. He takes over the throne and he is king for 8 years. It says in Second Kings chapter 3 that he wasn't as evil as his parents of Ahab and Jezreel, but he was not faithful to the Lord. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. So he took down the Baal statues that were outside of the palace where his father and mother had worshipped Baal, but he left up many of the other idols and statues. So there was kind of this, I'm not as bad as, but that doesn't mean that he was good. And certainly that's what we learn about his story. What's fascinating to him is while he follows in the path of his father and he isn't as bad as, there's a certain amount of complacency. There's an incredible war with Moab. He gets into a fight with Elisha and then ends up reconciling toward the end of his life. But while he served for 8 years, there's really nothing profound to say about his life other than he wasn't a good guy. He was just... he was one of those guys that really didn't take a stand either way. It wasn't that he was evil, but he wasn't good. And his apathetic way of leading caused he and his family more harm than good. So if you go through 2 Kings all the way to about 2 Kings 3 to about 2 Kings 8, you get a little bit of a sprinkling of how he led. And I think the most important thing to note about Jehoram's life is that when he, at the end of a battle, he actually becomes assassinated. Jehu will assassinate him. He will be anointed to take over. And Jehu does something with the end of Jehoram. This is the end of Ahab's line. Jehu will clean out all of Ahab's line, and so this bloodline will end, and a certain amount of this evil will end. The kingdoms are still separated. This is the 8th king in the northern kingdom, and so you have all this history that's part of his life, but nothing that actually designates his life of importance, of making a stance. He's just more of a continuation of the evil that has gone before him. When I think about Jehoram's life, I think about how we have an opportunity. Sometimes, depending on our family of origin, maybe we have come from a successful family, but maybe we haven't. Maybe there's things in our family line that we want to change, whether it's the grand things like crimes or abuse or behaviors, or maybe it's more of the everyday behaviors. Maybe we come from a family of alcoholism. Maybe we come from a family that has always struggled to find its way. Maybe very simply, we come from a family that does not have Christian origins. And each family, each next step in the lineage has the opportunity to change. Not to change the past, but to change the future. Jehoram, in many ways, he could have been that guy. He could have changed the future of his family. He removed some of the statues of Baal, but he didn't do enough. He only did a little bit in the right direction. And his heart really never was centered on what was good in the sight of the Lord. His heart always had a darkness about it, always had a continuation of that from his father. There's something powerful in sometimes reading these stories and remembering the lineage. Because they're in the Bible, we read them as holy stories, but many of these stories, what they are is a reflection of the human brokenness that exists in the world. They become holy because they are in our canon, they're in our holy Bible, but these are real people with real brokenness and real mistakes and a real opportunity to change the future by coming to the Lord, submitting to Him, confessing, allowing God to speak into what the future might look like. Jehoram is a great example of that. He chose not to let God speak into it, and he continues what his father had done. There's war, there's famine in Samaria, there's a lot of ugliness that exists. In fact, the ugliness that exists in his story sometimes is the reason people have a hard time even coming to Christianity, because they think there's so much ugliness in the Bible. How can your holy book have so much ugliness? Well, because the holy book is full of stories of people, not all that unlike you and me. We think of the stories differently because the circumstances and the context is so much less refined than we are today. But the same evil that existed then exists now. The same brokenness of Jehoram and Ahab and all of the characters that we've talked about still exists in you and in me today. That is why we needed the precious blood of our Savior Jesus Christ. It's why living in faith is living in an act of faith. It's coming to God daily. Luther loved to talk about coming to God daily in confession and waking up new in him, being made new. It's why we are simultaneously sinners and saints. And so as you think about Jehoram, and as you read 2 Kings chapter 3, if you go 3 through 8, you're going to get a little of Elisha in there, and you're going to get some of the other things that are happening in Moab and Samaria. And the woman with the oil, we'll talk about that again in the future. But just remember, in that can you relate segment, that can you relate emphasis, we don't have to live into our past. There's nothing about our past that really have to affect our future. The only thing that really can and should affect our future and has the power to change our future is that of God. God has the power to redeem us to him no matter what our past looks like. God has the power to restore us and to make us anew. Our life doesn't have to be a reflection of what Jehoram and the end of the lineage of Ahab had to be. There's a little bit of a choice in there. It's called free will. And God gives this to us, even though God knows that sometimes we use our free will to reject him, to push away from him. Yet God still gives us an opportunity to come to him anytime and any place and change what the future looks like. Hope you have a good Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.